And I'm India Walton. Thank you for spending part of your Saturday with us. Today we're going to talk about something happening soon in the city in partnership with Our City Action Buffalo, Eastside Parkways, New York Immigration Coalition, Buffalo BPTO, and Push Buffalo, PPG, and Justice for Migrant Families. That's quite the coalition. But hosting our 7th annual Anti-Displacement Summit. And when I say our, I mean Our City Action Buffalo, Our City Buffalo. Yes, because we always aim to educate and elevate. Our City Buffalo is the nonprofit educational portion, and Our City Action Buffalo, or OCAB, is the C4 or political action portion of Our City Buffalo. So boom, this is the nonpartisan educational part of that. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna talk about the Anti-Displacement Summit. And we have with us two members of our city. We have
Leighton Jones, the communications coordinator. Thanks for having me.
And
Merveille, a board member.
Speak right into the.
And Merveille, a board member of Our City Buffalo, and a member of Our City Action Buffalo.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So listeners may be wondering, this show has focused very heavily on the work of Eastside Parkways and of restoration of Humboldt Parkway. And when you hear anti-displacement, you may wonder how it's related. So we're going to delve into that a little bit today.
We've seen this story across county or country highways that were built through Black and working class neighborhoods, causing decades of harm. And now as cities rethink of removing highways, which has become the new norm, that the land becomes incredibly valuable. And without protections, it often leads to gentrification, speculation, and new ways of displacement for those residents who live there.
But Buffalo has an opportunity to do things differently, and two of the leaders working to make sure that we are going to get it right this time are with us, and we're going to have a robust conversation about that. So thank you both for being here. Let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about the Anti-Displacement Summit and what folks can expect from that.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. It's very energetic in the room because there's so much Black awesomeness. You know what I mean? Like, I really love that type of feel in any room I'm in. When we talk about displacement, we're talking about the East Side, right? Like, we can't have a conversation about displacement without talking about that. Mm-hmm. When you talk about the highway, we're talking about displacement. And so I think this is so connected to the Anti-Displacement Summit, and this being the 7th annual, it's good that we're able to connect the dots. So the Anti-Displacement Summit is talking about displacement of all forms. I am from Jamaica. I'm an immigrant, so I also have that form of displacement, right? I did not choose to leave Jamaica. I was forced to leave Jamaica because I'm not accepted there. And so when we think about displacement takes so many different shapes, forms, and it's important for us to have real conversations about how we get over displacement, how we address it, how we allow the community to understand how displacement influences their life and impact them directly. And then how do we make it like an activist role, right? How do we move the mantle and ensure that like displacement doesn't continue to occur? And that's the only way to change that is to allow residents to understand that it is occurring. How is it occurring and how to change it? And this is the way we do that.
That's awesome. And I know I'm going to butcher your name because I don't speak French.
Merveille.
Merveille.
Merveille. Do not worry. You are trying your best. Just to continue what Lin John just said, for me, what is important is the human experience. And displacement has been part of human experience for the longest time.
Yeah.
As soon as society were building and we thought the necessity to establish cooperation and things that are beneficial for human, displacement were created. I am an immigrant myself. I'm from Democratic Republic of Congo, and the value of a summit like this is to educate, first of all, but also to make sure that this human experience, the good, but mostly the bad, cannot just be ignored and cannot just be swept under the cover, under the blanket, and we may know, and we may be able to influence policies. We may be able to influence the way of life and the future decision, so that displacement can happen less and the family can be split less, and obviously we can be able to better the condition of life. So that's why I think this is very important, and this kind of annual should be able to continue and happen.
Yeah, the use of the word anti-displacement is like really important to me. Words matter, right? And there was a time when gentrification was such a new conversation that we were having in Buffalo that people didn't really understand what was happening, right? And they would say things like, well, gentrification is good. I want my community to be built up. And it's like, we're not saying that development isn't going to happen, right? We're saying that change happens and you have to demand justice as we are going through those changes. So we started saying like, well, we want development, but without displacement. It shouldn't be that because the neighborhood gets better, that the people who have lived there, who have made the neighborhood what it is, are pushed out, not only because of price, but there are intersections that happen when neighborhoods change that people don't realize sometimes, right? Cultural things. Right, I lived in the Fruit Belt, and in the Fruit Belt in the summertime, there's block parties all the time. Sometimes they go late into the night. It doesn't bother us because it's our culture, right? But when you have new people moving into the neighborhood, it's a nuisance to them. So what right do you have to come and police our culture, call the police on us for doing the things that we have always done, right? So the thing that I like most about the Anti-Displacement Summit is it's not only about like housing, right? It's like how gentrification and displacement can impact immigration, can impact policing, can impact access to food and resources. And when we think about what's going to happen as we look toward the restoration of Humboldt Parkway, there's going to be a lot of land that's going to be freed up. And how are we going to decide as a community who gets dibs, right? Who's going to get access? Who's going to generate wealth from this massive, more than $1 billion investment? Is it going to be like how we saw with the medical campus being built with all the Pennsylvania license plates and people from the suburbs? Yep. Or are we going to have a local hiring process, preference? Are we going to have a community benefits agreement that's legally binding to make sure that the people from this community are the ones who are actually going to benefit from the investment that's happening? So, yeah, just tying it all together.
Tie it together. For folks who may not know, tell us briefly what our City Action Buffalo is and why you're engaging so deeply in this highway removal conversation.
Well, when the initial conversation came up about Humboldt Parkway, we decided to do a bigger analysis of understanding what the history is, right? And because we want to be in community, we were talking to a lot of community members. So we went all the way back to how this development began, right? And what organization started this initial conversation about this highway and like getting money towards building?
Restore Our Community Coalition.
Right. And so we were really good friends with one of the leaders there, we understood that they asked for the community to get something now. they need some response from the government right now, because this is the time when they're alive and they need something actionable. And what we as residents and this generation, I'm a young 28-year-old Black man, and I'm a resident of the city of Buffalo now, and I want to see the city flourish. And it's really hard to understand that on that street where the Humboldt Parkway is, it used to be a white neighborhood. It used to be that. And then they intentionally moved those white people out of that neighborhood into South Towns and into other spaces. And they moved Black people in because they knew that the houses were going to depreciate in value, right? And so understanding that, the intentionality behind it, and then to go deeper into it, now we're in this new age and you want to put a tunnel over something that has caused cancer in our community, over something that is impacted our health in a real way. Almost every other house on the east side has asthma or has some airborne like lung condition. And so when we think about the real life impacts of this, right, the only way to stand in community is to stand up against it. We cannot have a tunnel that is invested, supposedly investing in the east side, $1 billion, not $1 million, right? And the investment looks like a tunnel that connects a piece of the community, not the whole thing, and then doesn't have air filtrations on the inside. And then why is it? Why is it, right? Like, it's really hard for us to fathom that our community wants this as the $1 billion investment. So our city, Buffalo specifically, wanted to engage the community in a way to educate them on the history that the initial highway, the creation of the highway was wrong to begin with.
Yes.
Right? And this is not the history of Buffalo is that it's a city that is inside a park, not a park inside a city. And so the goal of restoring Humboldt Parkway is to recreate that. And that's why our city, Buffalo, chose to be involved, is because we want to be a part of real work that is changing the community for a lifetime, not just for this specific moment in history. That's why we were like, our ancestors said, yes, we can get this $1 billion, and we did, but this is not the way to invest in our community. And that's why we have to go back to the government and say, hey, look, you didn't do this thing that you do for everything else. This is a law that you're not following. So, babe, we need you to follow your own law and then involve the community. So that's a long way of answering.
Look, I love it. I love it. You're so eloquently put.
Someone asked for the call-in number.
So the call-in number is
837-1112.
Thank you, because I don't have my glasses on.
Oh, yeah. I was right.
Thank you.
I think we've been doing this for enough consecutive, hey. So I recently watched Steven and Steven's documentary, and it talked about a community that was created where Steven grew up, but there were like homes that were like prefab and sold for like $8,000. And if you were in the military, you got a home for $800, that have now appreciated over time to, houses in the millions of dollars, right? And like, that's a lot of ways that white families were able to build wealth. And a part of the agreement, a part of the deed, was that you would not sell your house to a person of color, to a person of color. And there are homes in Buffalo that still have those deed restrictions.
Yes.
Right. So I mean, like,
wow.
Okay, I'm going to try and say this as gently as possible. To say that it's more important to shave 2 minutes off your commute than it is to save the lives of thousands of Black people is a slap in the face. And I'm a little bit tired of
And the shovel in the dirt.
being so gentle with it, and like
Absolutely.
we need for people who are in power and influence in this community to like stand up, like stop trying to spare people's feelings. Great work has been done by all sides, right? But at this point, what kind of project do we want for this community? So Queen City Forward. If you're listening, go follow Queen City. That's what it's called, right?
Queen City
the
Forward.
Department of Transportation's new way they're going about this is called Queen City Forward. They're going to be doing a series of meetings and listening sessions. So we have to show up there and make our voices heard, and not just in a way where we're saying we want this done right. Like, let's be specific about what we're asking for.
Absolutely.
We can ask for community benefits agreements. We can ask for local hire preferences. Let's not go in with the attitude of everything we can't do and what we can't have. We should be like reaching for the moon and asking for the most, because that's what we deserve. Nobody was trying to be cheap when they put it in. So don't be cheap when it's time to do something for us. And I also want to just remind people that this affects such a small portion of the Kensington Expressway. It's not going to keep you from getting to the airport, bro.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't have to worry about that. All of that will still exist. You'll still be able to get from downtown to the airport, and you will be fine.
It's fine.
Tell us, India, what portion of the Kensington 33 we're proposing to restore to Greenland, so that people understand. Because I think that the perception for the longest has been that we are looking to remove it all the way to the airport.
Absolutely. People think that.
And
Yeah.
so, people are saying, no, I don't want that. But can you just
False.
tell us?
It's what is it, from like Sydney to Best or something like that? Dodge. From
Dodge to Sydney.
From Dodge to Sydney.
A quarter mile.
It's not a huge distance.
Yeah.
And also, like, the original plan, and we're gonna stop talking about the original plan, because now we know that that's not happening. But I mean, like, the original plan was like they were gonna take the exits out and entrances out for us. Like, you're not. Yeah, so the fact that it's like, oh, well, we need to maintain vehicular traffic capacity and like health of the community and undoing the harms of the past is like, that should be the priority.
That should be the priority.
Absolutely. I think throughout this process, they've always been talking about the commute, and it's like we're caring about people coming through the city instead of caring about the people who live in it. Why are we considering the people outside of the city first, right? In terms of the Anti-Displacement Summit, I really want you guys to know that it's happening Saturday, December 6th at the Delavan and Grider Community Center. That's why it's really in the epicenter.
Ain't the Delavan Grider Center just such a special place?
No, seriously.
It is. There's a director over there. I think her name is Candace. She does so much with such limited resources, and any way that we can support the Delavan Grider Center also like is important. Elected officials, while y'all going and having breakfast and lunch there, like, make some real investments and give the Delavan Grider Center some real money and real investment, so that they can be open for our community and continue to serve in this amazing way.
I mean, speaking of elected officials, Sean Ryan will be ending the Anti-Displacement Summit. So this is another reason for you to come and engage, because you might have an opportunity to speak to the next leadership of the city. This is a real way for you to engage and ask questions and be intentional. And we want you to have the opportunity to, like, influence the person going into office and have ways of engaging with them. And we're also going to have Anna Falkov, who is the chair for the Charter Review Commission. And if you don't know, that's like the constitution of the city. So the fact that that hasn't been open since 1999 and it's been 25 years, babe, you need to be a part of it. Right? Like, for 25 years, Buffalo kids have been living underneath, no amendments.
Yeah.
They've grown up for 25 years without like
Any changes?
no future, right? Like as
No
if the
change of
future
plans, no
hasn't changed at all.
Right.
That's true. Sometimes we think.
No strategic plan, growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we think that the responsibility to bring change is not my responsibility. It is the other person's responsibility, the leadership responsibility. However, we should come to that understanding, especially the young black generation. We should come to that understanding that this is our responsibility to influence change, and the best way to influence change is to participate.
That's
to
correct.
Participate in every opportunity of community gathering, community anti-displacement summits, and many other things that exist. You participate, you listen, you ask questions that influence you, that will influence your kids, and that will influence those come after you. And I think like this is another invitation for the community
Yes.
to come and participate and join the Anti-Displacement Summit, to listen, to ask questions, and to see if they can be involved themselves.
Yes, the Anti-Displacement Summit is definitely a place where the veil will be pulled back, right? In order to be actively engaged, we have to be sufficiently educated. We have to know how things work, who's responsible for what laws exist, and which ones just don't. Right? And like there are limits, right? But you can't solve a problem that you haven't acknowledged. And it heartens me to know that Mayor-elect Ryan is going to be in attendance, because in order to lead, you do have to listen, right? I think a person once told me, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room.
No.
You want to have people around you who are subject matter experts, and this Anti-Displacement Summit is going to have just that, people who are out here on the ground in the community doing this work every day. So I'm excited, looking forward to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's been a labor of love over at Delavan Grider Community Center, and I like to think that the work that I'm doing, but also my board members, is resonating in the community. Oftentimes we do a lot with a little. And I think that we are finally recognizing that we are receiving some fruits of labor through people in the community supporting us, elected officials supporting us, and we're looking for even more support as we have and we see things changing in our local government. So, but yes, it is important for community centers like Delavan Grider to be able to provide platforms and opportunities for our community members who don't oftentimes get to talk to elected officials and ask those questions: how, what, why?
Yes.
Or share their experiences of what's going on in their lives or communities and what resources they need in order to make themselves, sustainable, And so,
The last thing I want to add is we have breakfast available, we have lunch, and if I'm being completely honest, why I want you to come is because I also will be sharing something a bit personal. Jamaica just went through a Category 5 Hurricane Melissa, and because all of these organizations are collaborating with each other, we are hosting a Jamaica relief effort. So if you have any tin food, if you have any little generators, we have a list of things that Jamaicans need in this moment. And because our community has always been the community of good neighbors, we've always really shown up for relief programs like this. So I'm asking Buffalo to show up because Jamaica has been devastated in a real way. And India asked me this question the other day: how can we help? This is one of the ways you can help.
Tell us, I know on your website you have the effort. Can you direct people to your website and tell them where they can contribute to your effort?
Absolutely. The website is www.ourcitybuffalo.com. And we would love for you to go there and read as to why you're giving, right? This is a collaborative effort between the Caribbean Arts and Culture Foundation and Black in Buffalo. They're local young Black residents who, some of them have lived here and grown here their whole lives, and some of them have just Jamaican parents. And because of that, we were like, we see that there's a lot of aid going from a government perspective, but our people in our communities are not being reached. When I call my mom, she still doesn't have electricity, and she's unable to get food because supermarkets were flooded and all of these things, right? And so go to the website, read, donate, and if you can't donate, this is a way for you to like get what you have in a can, or go to the supermarket and get like a little thing that you can get and bring it. Thank you
for sharing. It really takes all of us. I want to thank you both for being here, and as always, support the work of Eastside Parkways Coalition. Visit our website at eastsideparkwayscoalition.org, and until next week,
please join us at the anti-displacement.
Yes.
Thank you. Just to lighten the mood, Jamaica.